Hey guys, PK here with more Three Houses coverage. We covered the story stuff in the previous video, so now we're going to move on to the gameplay mechanics because, wow, there's a lot to cover. So, we've got the crests, which are like the holy blood of FE4 as we mentioned earlier, and comes in the major and minor varieties. These crests give their host skills on top of their personal, class, and professor skills. Only nobles, with the exception of Byleth, have crest skills which we'll go over in a bit. Other than skills bestowed by crests, each unit has access to personal skills, class skills, and professor skills. Personal skills are unique skills that each unit has and cannot be removed. Class skills are skills unique to certain classes and are removed once a unit changes to a different class. Professor skills are skills that can be learned depending on professor level and are customizable. Here we see Hubert's list of skills. His personal skill is Strategist, which boosts his gambit might by 5. His class skills as a Dark Mage are Miasma, Delta, and Hex. Miasma allows him to learn that spell, and if he knew it prior to that, the number of casts for it is doubled. We don't know how units learn spells, but from what I can tell, it seems as if units can permanently add skills to the list of spells depending on their level or some other means. Hex reduces adjacent enemies' avoid by 20. Yeah, everyone's gonna be an easy target at that point. His professor skills are Reason level 2, Authority level 1, Rally Magic, and Bow level 1. By the looks of things, a unit may have up to 9 skills at a time. 1 personal skill, 3 class skills, and 5 professor skills. Byleth's personal skill is Teacher's Guidance, which raises their and adjacent allies' experience gains by 1.2, which complements the main lord's personal skills pretty well. In terms of Byleth's crest skill, it seems to have a soul-like effect as seen here. When he attacks, he regains a small bit of health. As I theorized in one of my previous analysis videos, which you should totally watch by the way, Endelgard, Dimitri, and Claude all have skills similar to the nobility skill. Their skills are Imperial Bloodline, Royal Bloodline, and Alliance Bloodline respectively. They all have the effect of boosting their experience gain by 1.2. Dorothy's personal skill is Songstress, which heals adjacent allies' HP by 10% at the start of the turn. Definitely makes her a good support unit. Dedu's personal skill is Liege's Shield. If he waits without acting, his defense is raised by 4 for 1 turn. Good takey boy. Felix's personal skill is Solitary Wolf. If he has no battalion deployed or if his battalion is at 0 HP, he gets +5 added to damage dealt. Lorenz's personal skill is Prestigious Noble, which, when a battalion is deployed, increases damage dealt by 2. Hilda's personal skill is Plead, which grants adjacent male allies +3 in damage dealt. Alright, on to battalions. So the triangle icons are confirmed to be representing battalion HP, and it is not required for every unit to have a battalion with them. On top of that, battalions don't necessarily have to match the main unit's class. Battalions can be hired and assigned to your units through the Knights Guild. Each battalion is allied with either the Church of Saros or your house's nation, and each of them have different gambits that they can use. More battalions will be available to a unit by raising their authority level. Well, hey Master Elites 10, you were right on the money with that one. In the Knights Guild, you can hire, disband, or replenish your battalions. When hiring a battalion, you choose a unit to hire for. In this case, it's Ingrid, one of the previously unnamed students. Then a menu will pop up, showing a list of battalions with their name, gambit, authority level required, and cost to hire. Battalions give the units different changes in their stats, much like the pair of mechanic in Awakening, except there is a chance that certain stats will go down when using a certain battalion. For example, the Saros Magic Brigade raises a unit's magic, resistance, and charm, but lowers the unit's strength. It's not clear what the charm stat does, but it might have something to do with support growth, support bonuses, battalion effectiveness, or something else along those lines. When choosing a battalion, there is also a map which shows the area of effect for the battalion's gambit, as well as the number of uses for gambit and its hit rate. Battalions can take damage in battle, and once their HP goes down to 0, their stat boosts are gone and gambits can no longer be used. Since battalions are separate from their main unit, it's possible that the enemy can specifically target an ally's battalion. Enemies are also shown to have their own battalions, so they may be able to use gambits as well. Anyway, with the replenish option present, this definitely means that battalions don't automatically regain their HP after a battle. You gotta pay up if you want your battalions back to full health. It will only cost 1 gold per HP for E and D rank battalions, but for C rank battalions, the price will raise to 2 gold per HP. That may not seem like much, but once more and more units have battalions backing them up, there will be a noticeable dent in your wallet. Also, if you guys remember from the direct trailer, battalions can also gain experience points and level up. With this in mind, when disbanding a battalion, will the battalion maintain the level you raised them to, or will they reset to level 1? Since units seem to retain their level upon changing classes, I can imagine that something similar will be in place for battalions as well. The article goes into detail on some of the gambits available. We have the Coordinated Lance Strike, which is usable by the Kingdom Lance soldiers. This gambit hits an enemy to the left and right of the targeted foe and causes the Distress status on them. Distress causes a 10% decrease in all stats, prevents movement, and disabled stats boosts from battalions and gambits. Godspeed Preparation can be used by the Zeros Monk Squadron. It targets a unit and any ally within 2 spaces of them and grants movement +5. If you have a team of flyers and mounted units, oh man, that's gonna be really good. Godspeed everyone, move out! Leave no man alive! Next we have Lure Scheme, shown off by Hilda because of course she'd be using this gambit. Lure Scheme is the Ceros Pegasus Brigade's gambit. It targets an adjacent foe, moves them to the tile behind the user, and creates a special tile where the enemy used to be with the same effect. Each of these gambits can be used at least twice. Alright, let's move on to punching! It's gauntlet time, baby! Like I theorized in my first analysis video, gauntlets have a brave weapon effect where a unit can attack twice before the enemy can. Also, slight change to how speed is compared. If a unit's speed is greater than their opponent's speed +4, they will be able to double, unlike the +5 from previous installments. And with the gauntlet's brave weapon effect, well, that guy's super dead. Also, unlike other training level weapons, training gauntlets can land critical hits. Might as well just give everyone a pair of training gauntlets then. Everyone deserves to experience the joy of a sweet, sweet crit hit. The one downside of gauntlets is that flying and mounted units can't use them. What do you mean I can't just fly down on my Pegasus and punch a bandit in the face? You're already being all anime with the school setting 3 houses. Let me raise the anime level to 9,000% with an epic punch to the face from my Pegasus. Alright, let's go over classes now. These are intermediate classes which are available to units above level 10. A lot of these classes were seen when Edelgard was preparing to take her class certification exam in the direct trailer. That must have meant she was above level 10 at that point. These classes will most likely require an intermediate seal, as seen where Edelgard is going to take the Brigand exam. With these classes being classified as intermediate classes, that most likely means that there are classes a tier above these. Probably advanced classes, which may include classes like Paladin or General. Other than the classes listed in the article, Thief, Knight, Archer, and Priest are listed in Edelgard's choices of certification exam, so those are most likely intermediate classes as well. Let's move on to the classes mentioned in the article. We've got our handsome boy Felix showing off the Mercenary class. This class specializes in swords and axes, much like the hero class from previous games. Looks like they've got high strength and speed. God, that boy looks so hot in that armor. Next we've got the Cavalier class, which specializes in swords, lances, and of course riding. And looks like Kanto is back. Nice. Time for some hit-and-run tactics. Next up, we've got cute little Hilda showing off the Brigand class. Brigands specialize in axes and gauntlets and have good strength and HP. I want this girl to punch the lights out of everyone. That will be fun to watch. And next we have, oh my, wow, that, Brawler class, yeah, shown off by Raphael. God, this boy is an absolute unit! Brawlers specialize in axes and gauntlets like Brigands. Unlike Brigands, they have the class skill Barehanded Battle, which allows them to fight without a weapon equipped. Punching solves all problems if you're a brawler. One downside for brawlers is that they're a male-exclusive class. Next we have the Mage class, shown off by... who is this? Right. Mages specialize in all types of magic and of course are good against enemies with low resistance. Their class skill is Fire, which is like the Miasma skill, except with fire. Alright, last up we have the Dark Mage, shown off by Mr. Grumpy Pants. Dark Mages can equip all types of magic. Other than the class skills that we covered earlier, Dark Mages are different from Mages in that they're a male-exclusive class. Can't wait to see some of the female-exclusive classes soon. There is a chance that the Priest class will be the female-exclusive Magic Caster class. Considering Edelgard has access to that class when choosing an exam, and that there's a battalion called the Ceros Maiden Squadron, which uses the Echoed Magic White Gambit, that possibility probably isn't too far off. Alright, time to schedule our day because we'll be covering game flow. On weekdays, you'll be tutoring, auto-tutoring, group tasking, and set goals! We've already seen these options in the direct trailer and have seen a bit of tutoring action before as well. On weekends, you can choose to stroll, class, rest, venture, and examination options. As we already know, exams let us reclass our students. At the end of the season, there is a field study which functions as the game's story chapter battles. There are 12 seasons per year, which leads me to believe that this game will take place over the course of maybe 2 to 3 years. Japanese high schools teach the equivalent of the American sophomore to senior years, so we might see our students go from their first through last years at the academy. The season shown in these screenshots is the Flower Crown season, similar to the Flower season Float Sim from Echoes, and is the 6th season of the year. Considering that the Japanese school year starts in April, it is possible that this is showing the 2nd chapter of the game. There are several different symbols on the calendar. One of the most obvious symbols is the cake symbol, representing birthdays. On the 22nd day, looks like it's Edelgard's birthday. I want to give this girl the biggest cake, she deserves it! We can almost assume that Byleth is teaching for the Black Eagle House, however, the field study at the end of the season has a banner for the Leicester Alliance. This could mean one of two things. 1, we still venture into the other 2 nations we didn't choose as part of the field studies, or 2, we still have access to the 2 other main lords, but the one we choose to side with will be our main lord. Like how it was in Blazing Blade, where the main lord is dependent on which mode you choose to play, but you still had access to the other 2. On the 22nd day of the month, there are 4 symbols associated with different events. The fishing hook symbol notes a magical variation, the sprout symbol notes an Earth's blessing, the fork and knife symbols notes a sweet boosting weekend, and the music note symbol notes a choir festival. The 8th day also has a fishing symbol that has the description Mythical Fish's appearance. Wait, mythical fish? Partaking in these events may lead to side quests, raising support levels with students, raising unit stats or weapon levels. The possibilities of what these events may bring are endless. One other symbol that's on the calendar is the F-coin symbol, which may refer to a payday. I mean, I hope we get paid to do this. I'm pretty sure not getting paid to do a teaching job is illegal. There's also a notepad symbol every Monday, which may indicate plans for classes since it matches the symbol for the class option. Alright, let's talk professor levels. As we know, we can tutor students and increase their professor levels, which are basically their weapon ranks. If you don't want to put thought into how to individually tutor your students, there is the auto-tutor option to have the game take care of the teaching for you. New challenge, beat the game but you can only auto-tutor. In these screenshots we can see an instructor gauge and a motivation gauge. The instructor gauge shows how many students you can tutor per week. As your instructor level goes up, so will the amount of students you can tutor. The motivation gauge is that smiley face meter we saw way back in the direct trailer, and looks like it does function as a fatigue meter for tutoring. The more motivated a student is, the more times you can tutor them. When tutoring a student, the results of the session can be bad, good, great, or perfect. A bad session results in only a minimal amount of experience, a good session gives a standard amount of experience, a great session gives 1.5 times the amount of experience, and a perfect session gives a double amount in experience. Good job, Dedu. You're such a good boy. Speaking of which, depending on the result, you can choose to scold or compliment a student on their work during the tutoring session. How their motivation is affected depends on both the results and your response. I'm a soft girl, so I'm just gonna end up complimenting my students no matter what. Yes, even Lorenz. I guess. In these screenshots we can see Dimitri's and Dedu's boons and banes. Dimitri has boons in swords, lances, and authority, while his banes are in axes and black magic. There are also professor bonuses in swords and gauntlets. Dedu's boons are in lances, axes, gauntlets, and heavy armor, and his banes are in white magic, riding, and flying. Yeah, it looks like Dedu's the best candidate for Armor Knight of the Blue Lions. Banes result in a -2 in experience earned, and considering that the base experience gained is 4, cutting the EXP gain in half is huge. Other than tutoring, you can help students set goals to improve certain weapon ranks. Students can also suggest their own goals to you, but you have to approve them. Here, Lidhart wants to learn more about black magic in addition to white magic, and here, Casper wants to focus solely on axes instead of gauntlets and white magic. I've always assumed Casper to be a physical attacker, so I find it interesting he was focused on white magic prior to this exchange. Alright, let's go over how to increase your instructor gauge and motivate your students to learn. In addition to an instructor gauge, you have a venture gauge and a stroll gauge, which are also affected by your instructor level. By taking strolls, socializing with your students, teaching, etc., your instructor level will increase, letting you do more each week. An increase in instructor level also increases your pay rate. Aw yeah, keep the money rolling in, baby. Here we see Byleth hanging out with Mercedes and Annette. Not only does your instructor level increase, but so does your students' motivation and their support levels with each other. We also see the instructor level increase from E to E+, which indicates that the letter to letter plus ranking system is going to be universal for basically all game elements that have these letter ranks. Another way to motivate students is by giving them advice with your adult and worldly knowledge. Give them an answer they like and they get motivated, easy peasy. On top of that, your instructor level will increase too. Other than tutoring, there are also weekly group tasks that you assign to 2 students to do to increase their support levels, as well as a certain weapon or movement level. Here we see Bernadetta and Dorothy chosen to do the weeding task, which improves their heavy armor rank. We can see that Bernadetta has a boon in heavy armor as indicated by this blue arrow. With these two working together, there is an expected 2 out of 5 star rating for the result. Also, it seems like Bernadetta and Dorothy's support rank can only reach B rank instead of the typical A rank. A rank may be available later in the game, and I'll touch upon that later. After completing their group task, their result was good, and they were rewarded with support points, gold, and forging stones. Looks like some sort of new weapon forging system will be in place. It seems like group tasks will be the primary source for forging stones since we see Edelgard and Petra partaking in the group task aerial anti-measures, and the reward is similar to Bernadetta and Dorothy's reward. Another thing to note is that these two got a perfect completing their task, so I think it's safe to assume that group task results will be ranked bad, good, great, or perfect like tutoring sessions. Also looks like Petra has a boon in flying. Is she going to be the Black Eagle's Pegasus Knight? Before we go on, just want to share my thoughts on a new possible forging system. It could be similar to the forging system in Fates where you had to use ore to upgrade your weapons. Hopefully it doesn't involve using forged weapons in the process too. Seriously, who thought that was a good idea? Fates' forging system makes plus tanking your unit and heroes look like a cakewalk. Alright, let's move on to blossoming talent within your students. If you tutor a student in a certain area enough, they can become adept at that skill and even learn new abilities and skills. Looks like that's what that 3-star icon was for. Also, it seems like only certain students have these blossoming talents: Edelgard, Dorothy, and Hubert. Dimitri and Dedu don't seem to have a 3-star icon shown next to their weapon ranks. Other than the 3 of them being in the Black Eagle house, there doesn't seem to be any connection among them that explains why they would have them. Here we see Byleth tutoring Dorothy in White Magic, and she currently has 2 out of the 3 stars filled. After leveling up, we see her last star filled and her getting the skill White Magic Avoid plus 20. Quick thing to note is that Dorothy has the Holy Sethlin statue in effect, which boosts her experience gain by 1. Students don't necessarily need a Bane and weapon rank to have a blossoming talent for it. Here, Hubert has 3 stars next to Lance's, but he's neutral at it. After gaining 3 stars, Hubert learns the Ice Javelin combat art. This combat art sounds like its damage could count as magical damage at range and physical attack at close combat, similar to how the Light Brand functioned in FE4 and FE5. One last thing to cover before we end off the video. I touched on this in my video with Fire Emblem discussion, which you should totally watch by the way, but with crests functioning similar to FE4's Holy Blood, the importance of time, and support levels suspiciously only going up to B rank in the early game, there is a possibility of a time skip later in the game with a second generation of characters taking the spotlight. Our main lords all have minor crests, and a majority of the noble students introduced to us so far also have minor crests. I do find it suspicious that there aren't many characters confirmed to have a major crest. On top of that, it is strange that supports only go up to B rank rather than the traditional A or S rank. I'm thinking these ranks get a lot further into the game. Seeing as how passage of time ties in very closely with story progression, it would make more sense for students to get S supports with each other sometime around mid-game when around 1 year has passed rather than sometime earlier when they've only had a few months of knowing each other. This time skip could occur after your students graduate, and years later when their children start attending the Officers' Academy. On top of that, you could be an older, wiser teacher who is not only guiding your former students' children, but also new incoming teachers as well. I think this could prove to be a more interesting concept than the time travel or the Outrealm stuff that Awakening and Fates had. This could be a way of paying homage to how the Genealogy of the Holy War was with its story progression. So, well, I guess what I'm saying is that this game is basically Radiant Dawn and Genealogy of the Holy War's love child. Hey guys, thank you all so much for watching this video. Like I said, this one was a doozy. But I'm glad I was able to cover all that because this is getting really interesting. So thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully Fire Emblem's gonna start up again soon. As of the day I'm recording this, I still need to record more episodes for that. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe if you liked it, and I hope you watch more of my future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later. Goodbye!